Hello, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I'm going to teach you not null constraint. What is not null? Not null means we are not allowing any null characters into the particular column in the database table. We'll see what is the terms of database terminology. The database terminology null is a unknown or missing information. The null value is different from an empty string or number value 0. It's not in a 0 and it's not in an empty string. It's an unknown information. We can treat it as a null character. The null value is very special, is used to verify is null or is not null. In MS SQL Server will offer you to check this type of data types and the constraints of the data. If you are not going to allowing like a null characters in this particular column, yes, you can check, put it is in a check not null by like a mentioning of the not null constraint while preparation of the database table, like a structure, or once the database table like a database table, once it is created, you can specify to like alter the table by putting it is in a not null, like eligible by you are not allowing to inserting null character into that particular column. All right, very simple example I'll show you how to handle such a situations to avoid to entering into the null characters into your database column. We'll see one by one here. For this, I am going to prepare for a new table. How we are going to treat which is a null, like a not null constraint. See here, the column ID I have taken for this table, that is a primary key. The second one is product ID, which is a int and a not null. I am not allowing to any null values to here this particular ID. And the quantity of this product, how many are available for a table, the information is available here. The numeric data type and not null constraint here it is put in. And in advancedly, our previous session we have a check with the quantity of the product. If it is 0, it won't be considered and it won't be inserted here. Okay, to be not null and it's not been empty, and to be above 0. Minimum at least 1 to be required here to insert the data. And to be like a net price. Numeric, it is a data type, and the check constraint, it is put it as a net price. If it is an above 0 only, it can be acceptable. And also this column, especially net price, will also eligible for null, can be acceptable for this. The combinations of not null and checking, check constraint, like allowing the null, how it can be. We'll see by creating of the database table, and we'll see how we are going to be inserting data records into this particular table. We'll see more. Let's check. I select this statement and run the execute, like a run or execute the query. Yes, the command is successfully completed. Means the table is successfully created. Let's check here on Object Explorer, refresh. Yes, it's expanding. Now you see here order underscore 1. This is our table name. This is our table name to creating for verification of this not null constraint. This is the table it is created. Now check the columns 1, 2, 3, 4 columns are available here. Find out here the 4 columns, and you can check with these keys. We'll find out one primary key and check the constraints. What are the constraints are available here? Okay, now you will check with that. We'll try to insert the data into this particular table. How we are going to inserting the data? By selecting edit top 200 rows. By defaultly it will come with your SQL Management Studio, this option. If you want to increase this editing of the rows, you can check with go to the tools and options. There you will identify on query window option is there. You can change the number as you wish to increase or decrease the editing of the rows. Now let's see here, come to the point. Now the column is not null and it won't to take any empty value, and this is also not null. one by one we'll check it. First ID I am giving as a number, and the product is an again it is an int. I have to give in a number. So I'm giving here product is also one I'm giving as a product, and just press enter. What happens now? It is says that some null, the value null in column QTY, like a quantity column, the third column, does not allow nulls. Insert fails and terminated the query. Have you observed this? The not null when you are putting into the column, it won't be considered a null value. Okay, the quantity it's in the above zero, it is requested. If I put the zero again, it will throw the one constraint of not null, and second verification of this, if it is in a zero, again it will be throw you an error. Okay, likewise you can filter and check with the using of not null, and check by preparing of the database program and database table itself. You will filter the data, all the programming skills. You can apply all the most of the skills. You can under your programming requirements of the logics and business logics. You can finish by writing such a queries like a data structure preparation, and making the data is a purification over itself. The quantity I'm putting it is in a 1 2 3, it can be acceptable, and the net price it can be eligible for null. Why I'm not putting any not null constraint over there? All right. Now, if I given any zero here in the net price, again it won't accept. Why it's not accepting? See here. Here again, the check constraint I have added here for net price. This is the net price, the check constraint. If it is enter any number, it can be above zero. All right. The condition to be passed like any above zero only, it can be possible to eligible the data where to be inserted over here. All right, see the check constraint here and the modify. Once you go to the modify, what we have prepared for there, it can be displayed here like this. Net price is greater than of zero. Expression have you seen here? For the quantity, it's a quantity above zero, where you can write the expressions over here. Okay, on right click here, if you want to modify, you go to modify and do the appropriate changes. It's nothing but modify means the alter. Similarly, if you want to drop the constraint, you can drop from using the query statement, or else from here also you can drop this particular like a constraint. Here it is an option, delete. Okay. Before you are going to performing such a delete operations, you should be aware of this. What happens if I delete this statement? All right. In such a simple techniques to use for handling of these null type characters and null values handling in your database, and is null and is not null by using these statements to filter the data perfectly. If it is not, null characters are inserted already in your database column data row. Strongly remember, I would like to express you one time, more than one time. It's the null characters which is giving hectic issues on earlier days. Now the modern programming, if null, if it is already available in the database, it's a very easy to handle such a null characters and null type of data available in the column data. In terms of the database terminology, the null is an unknown or missing information. So far you have learned about it. The null value is different from the empty string or number value like 0. The null value is a very special or used to verify is null or is not null. By filtering of the data rows, you can apply by writing is null or is not null to filtering the variations of the data row records. And this tutorial you have learned from so far how to prepare with the column and like a database structure by mentioning of the not null constraint while preparation of the database column. If you put it as in a database column as a not null, and you are aware of by inserting of the data row, it won't be considered to insert. It will be asked you any of the value over there. And based on the data type only, it will be considered the data. If you have a put int as a data type, and you are trying to inserting like a string, it won't be considered and it won't be inserted. Similarly, we are using not null constraint. Along with this, we are adding check constraint to verifying the validating the data into the table insertion of the data. That is the way to making more complex IT. You can do more and more with this type of constraints and checking and verification of the data. Verification, all you can check with this by writing of the table structure creation. You will be more familiar how to handle and how to deal with your real-time data. You can make it as in a more checks rather than you are filtering data, how the purity and the beautification of data will be available with you. And again, by writing the program, any like getting the data from database to application, you need not to do much work. Straight away, you can fetch the data from the column itself without calculations. You will present the data at the output. That's it. That is the beauty of facilities are available in MS SQL, where you can easily write the queries and standardization and applying of these actions of constraint and all by writing the with the mouse. Also, you can use this preparation of this all the things. The studio will give you more facilities like this. I hope you understand about the not null constraint, the usage, and the features of it. Thank you for watching this session. Thank you.